Me there, we got Chris in town today. We pushed the Camaro out and pushed the Trans Am in. We got this little heater going. It's like 24 degrees outside. It's cold. And this carport is not insulating. There's big cracks everywhere. Cracks over here and cracks at that back door. But that little propane heater we got, it's not working too bad. So we're going to put the intake on. Lloyd Elliott ported the intake up for us. Gasket matched it good and enlarged the runners a little bit and just cleaned everything up inside. We're going to put that intake on. We've already got it on top dead center. Like I said before, the way I get it on top dead center is I turn the motor over. The exhaust valve opens, it closes, and then the intake valve opens and it closes, and then you turn it around until you're on top dead center, and that puts you, that's your top dead center, which I put it on like 30 degrees. Close enough. So that's where we'll stab the distributor and put it at number 1. But first, we're going to clean up all these head surfaces and drop the intake on, and then drop the distributor in, and we're going to take the interior out. We're going to run all new fuel lines from the front to the back. What all you got going on, Chris?
I got a fuel sending unit and the pickup. It's 1/2-inch lines, and I'll have AN lines from the back all the way up to the front. Still have the fuel gauge that works, and it'll be able to come up the passenger side instead of like a normal Pontiac where it comes up the driver's side and we got to cross over under the motor. And then I have a standalone fuel cell we got to mount up here
For the nitrous.
And then I got my purge lines, the metal purge lines, and a nitrous pressure gauge I'm gonna put up on the cowl too.
Yeah.
So, and we got a new log for the carburetor because we almost stripped that one every time we're trying to change jets.
Yeah, these logs right here are kind of a nightmare, man. Especially if you're at the track and you're trying to do a lot of jet changes. Those things like to strip out, man. So you got a different log for that. But yeah, here's our Lloyd Elliott. Ported this back a little, ported these back. Gasket matched the runners and ported them back on this Professional Products Hurricane intake. So we're going to put that on next. Hopefully we'll get to hear it run this weekend with the new cam in it. And we got some shielding gas. Buddy of mine hooked me up.
I'm gonna try to put
for
in
the
new
welder.
floor pans and a roll cage.
Yeah, he's got 4. Bought a custom fit there, roll cage. And that's why we're taking the interior out. And that box there is 4 pans. And all these boxes are parts. That,
Definitely putting the interior back in. It's gonna stay a full interior car.
yeah, he don't even want to take the back seat out. He wants to keep the back seat. I'd like that out and leave it, but yeah, he's gonna keep it full interior car. It's gonna have a full cage in it. But yeah, it's gonna keep all the interior street car type stuff, turn signals, windshield wipers, horn, all that works on it. We'll keep that. Let's get at it, Chris.
Trying to figure out how to get this bolt because the seat won't slide.
Yeah, that makes it hard. So to put these intake gaskets on, what I'm doing is I just put a little bit of this silicone gasket maker, just from RTV. And this is the side that goes up against the head. Numbered side goes up. There's numbers right here in the middle. 1206, that's the gasket we use for these heads. It fits the runners perfect. But what I do, because on a small block Chevy, a small block or a LT1, it's got little dowels that hold these on. Small block Chevy don't have that. What a lot of people do is they'll smear some here and just stick it on there and let it dry a little bit and it'll stick. But this time that I do it, I'm going to put a light coat, and I mean a light coat, around all the ports, especially these. You can have more around these, but you definitely don't want your RTV to squeeze out and go into your intake port. That's bad. So I just put a light coat. I just put it on my finger, squeeze a little bit on my finger, and just smear it on. And I'll do that on all these ports. All right, there we go. That's just a light, thin coat. And I'm gonna put it on there just like that. Line up your ports. The bolt holes are gonna kind of be a little off, but the bolt holes will still go down in there. But the main thing is line up these intake ports. That's the most important thing. All right, there they are. I'm gonna let the RTV, I pushed down on all the ports, right around the edge of the ports. If any squeezed out, I wiped it out real good. Line your intake ports up the best you can. As you see, the bolt holes, they don't line up perfect, but there's enough there for it to go through.
I'm on a treasure hunt.
Chris is getting the interior ripped out.
See what I can find.
We really don't know how to take the interior out, so he's not really making a video of that. He's kind of just winging it.
Make a video after you can.
Yeah, line your intake ports up the best you can. I'm gonna let that cure a little bit, and then I'm gonna put a bead across the back and a bead across the front. I'm gonna drop that intake on there, and then I'm gonna look through the intake ports. I'm gonna start my bolts. I'm gonna not tighten them down all the way, and I'm gonna look inside the intake, because the intake will wiggle on the bolts a little bit, and then I'll make sure that the intake ports are lined up with the head ports before I start tightening the intake down. And Chris had way too long intake bolts, so we actually got the right bolts this time. Sitting over there. All right, Chris has got the interior out. This side's pretty holy, and unfortunately that floor pan ain't gonna reach, so we're gonna have to put a piece of sheet metal in there, patch that in. And the little hole that's over here, we can patch that in, but the rest of this is really solid. Especially, for a 42-year-old car. No, wait, my math's wrong. Yeah. No, it's 42. 1980. I got the intake in. Now I'm going to stab the distributor right here in a minute. Little before and after of the floor pan on the driver's side here. Alright, when you stab your distributor, make sure that you got your gasket on there and oil that up, because you got to spin it. I oil mine up. Make sure you got the right gear for your cam. This is a melanized gear and it's a billet core cam, so we're good there. Yeah. Now when you drop this in, if it's, I think it'll go in 8 different ways, but now this to the oil pump shaft will only go in 2 different ways, and I'll show you when I stab it. You don't have to line that up. I mean, a lot of people, they'll stick a screwdriver down in there and try to line it up the best they can. But when you put that down in there, it kind of spins, because it's kind of hard to do that. But, yeah, when I stab this down in there, I'll go over a few things. Even I've went through this, over this in a few of my videos already, though. Alright. I got the intake on. I'm just going to look in here. Make sure we got a nice bead all the way across. Yeah, that looks good. Oh, the door grabbed my butt. There's a screw in the door. Focus. Yeah, that looks good. So I'm not going to tighten it down all the way first. I'm just looking. I'm going to let that dry a little bit before I tighten it down. Not sure how good that can be seen. I mean, looking down in here, showing a good bead. Actually, probably got a little bit too much in there. So now, look at that. I wish I had a bore scope to look down in there a little better. Oh, almost fell. Yeah, look at that. It looks like it's matching up really good. If anything, it could come this way just a little. See how the bolt holes don't line up perfect, but that's fine. I'm more worried about these intake ports like that. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, it looks good to me. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put all the bolts in. I'm going to snug them down just a little. I'm going to let it dry for a little while, and then I'm going to do the final torque on it. I'm just going to finger tighten them right now. I want this stuff to dry and get a little rubbery first before I try to smash it down. So, yeah, just finger tighten these just with my finger. I'm going to put them all in, tighten them just like that, tight as I can get them with my finger. Then I'm going to do all of them that way, and then I'll tighten them up. Now when you drop that down in there, you want the rotor pointing at the number 1 cylinder. And see, we are not pointing at the number 1 cylinder, but I did that for a reason. Now look, I'm stuck on the oil pump shaft, and it's not going to go down any further. Now, when it goes down, the rotor is going to turn clockwise. And when it does, it's going to put me about where I want to be. So, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can just bump the starter until it falls all the way down, and then bring it back up. So, intake, compression, power, exhaust, that's the 4 strokes to a 4-stroke engine. So the piston comes up, it blows the exhaust out. The exhaust valve opens and blows the exhaust out. The piston goes back down, the intake valve opens, and it sucks the air fuel mixture in. And then the piston starts to come back up and the intake valve closes, and both valves are closed. So that's why I do exhaust opens, closes, intake opens and closes. So that means the piston's pretty much down towards the bottom, and when it comes up, that's going to be my compression stroke, and that's going to be top dead center. So once that intake valve closes on this one, that's the exhaust, and this one's the intake. They change, they go back on small block Chevy. You got exhaust, intake, intake, exhaust, exhaust, intake, intake, exhaust. So once I get it there and both valves close, the intake valve closes, I know that the piston's coming up for its compression stroke to be on top dead center. And once those close, then I just turn it around until my timing tab lines up with 0, which I put mine on 32 because that's where this motor's going to fire at anyway. But now what I'm going to have to do, and the battery is dead, so I'm going to turn the motor over by hand until that drops down, and then I'm going to check. I'm going to let it come back around. The exhaust open, closes, intake opens, closes, and then I'm going to turn it back around to my mark. So you got 2 marks on here. If I was to turn that 1 full revolution, it would be top dead center for number 6. So I mean, it hits these marks twice, but on the second one. You'll see one of these valves will be open. Should be the exhaust valves open, blowing it out. Yeah. So if I turned it 1 full revolution, I would be on top dead center for cylinder 6. So actually, I could just turn it 2 full revolutions, and I know I'm back where I'm at. Which is probably what I'll probably just do that. Probably be easier. I'll just turn it over 2 full revolutions. The distributor will fall down. When it falls down, the rotor is going to turn clockwise some, and then I'm going to see if we're pointing at number 1, which I've done this a few times. That's usually exactly where it needs to go if it's stuck on the oil pump gear. So we'll turn that over and then we'll two full revolutions, and we'll see where it's at. See if it's pointing at number 1. This is Chris's phone. It takes way better videos. But anyway, I turned it over 2 full revolutions. Those are our timing marks. That top one's for nitrous. The bottom one's for motor. But anyway, I just put it right in between those. But look there. Pointing right at number 1. Just like I knew it would. I knew it would. So now, I'm going to put my cap back on. And we're going to put the number 1 spark plug right where that, on the cap where that rotor's pointing. And then we're going to go clockwise 1, 8, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7, 2. And I'm going to go ahead and put the cap on and do that. So yeah, just moving right along. Alright, we're making progress. Chris has the dash out. We're just working on taking that heater thing out. We didn't really show a detailed video on this because honestly, we don't know what we're doing. We're just taking stuff out and trying to get it out. But there's some bolts up in the top there that he's trying to reach right now. Yeah, that's going to help. Gotta take those out. Haven't been taking a lot of videos. It's cold and we're just trying to get stuff done. But father son time working on the car, can't beat it. But I got the distributor in. This is where number 1 was pointing. Right there. So 1, 8, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7, 2. I put the distributor tab in it. Tighten it up a little, but not a lot. You still want to be able to turn this thing. And that's why we lube up that gasket. You don't want turning on that gasket with it all dry and stuff. Got the carburetor on. Got the fuel and nitrous solenoid on. Got the water neck on. Really. Then we got to put the fuel. We got the fuel log to put on and the fuel line. But yeah, this is pretty much done. Pretty much done. Alright, I got the motor back together. Put the new fuel rail on it. I got a rag over it because it's cold outside, and when you heat this up, it builds up condensation and it drips down. But we're going to run all new fuel lines. We just want to hear it run here in a little bit. I'll probably start it up a little bit later. I need to clog that fuel line because this is the one. We was running the nitrous and the motor off that one mechanical fuel pump, which that's I forget what size it is. I've said it in some of my videos, but that pump will support 800 horsepower easy. It's 100 gallon per hour. I think it's like a 90 or 100 gallon per hour. Don't quote me on that. But I'm just going to put a bolt in there and put a screw on it just so we can start it and see what it sounds like. You'll hear it a little bit later, but it's ready to start. Besides clogging that up. And Chris has the dash out. We're going to clean up a bunch of these wires we don't use. He's took all the ducting out of it.
And then this emergency brake pedal that's all rusted out and been sitting in the corner, that's about to come out too.
Yeah.
It's a lot of weight.
I think Christopher's going to make a video on how he took that dash out. We didn't know how to take it out, so he just kind of winged it, and he was like, well, I can't get it out. The main bolts go across the top, and you got to get up under the bottom here to take those out. And then
it's one bolt right there in that corner on the bottom.
And then there's a bolt in the bottom corner, each sides, bottom corner.
All the top, and then basically what holds it in is just the inserts in the middle.
Yeah, and but you got to take the cluster out first, and you got to unplug your emergency brake release. The hood release didn't need
They don't have a hood release.
Yours didn't have one on it. You already took that out.
They've got hood release under the front bumper.
Oh, I got you. That's right. And then like the plug-ins, I couldn't get that all the way out, but there's a plug-in back here. There's no clip on that plug-in. Just I kind of wedged a screwdriver in there and took it out. This is the hardest thing to get out. We cut it because we were taking all the ducting out. But this wire right here, you got to get under the bottom and take this washer off. And then there's a couple of plug-ins here and here. This one's got a clip right here on the top. That one just
some vacuum and stuff right there.
That one just unplugs, and these are just your vacuum hoses, which I guess they just pulled right out, didn't they? Yeah, those pull right out. But you can take that off with those little crimp washers too. I guess you have to cut them off to get it off, but there's a bolt there. We don't really know what we're doing, guys. We're just winging it. But yeah, those are hard to take off without damaging them. But I guess best just to cut those off and go like to the hardware store and maybe they'll have some. I don't know. But that was the hardest thing to get out. And then, you know, the cluster, all that has to come out. You got to unplug your cigarette lighter. You got to take your radio out and the wires hooked to it. But yeah, like the main bolts were across the top here. And then there's one right there. And there's one over there. Those are the main bolts. But you got to take all this stuff and unplug all the wires. The cigarette lighter, the lights, the brake release. You got to unhook all that before it'll come out. You got to drop the steering wheel down. Take your cluster out. The cluster's sitting over here. You got to take all that stuff out. Unhook your speedometer cable. All the plugs. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And we're going to take all the ducting out of this. There's still some ducting on that. See, all that stuff's going to come out. We're going to take all the ducting out. It's not going to have any of that stuff no more. It didn't work anyway. And then here's most of the ducting that was underneath the dash. We're taking out. And then he's going to unhook all the wires that we're not going to use anymore for like the heater. We're still going to put that stuff back together so it still looks stock, but
it's still going to have all the dash lights and the dash is going to work and everything, but the radio stuff can go.
We're going to put a dummy plate for the radio because every time he launches this car, the radio it flies out anyway. We don't have a good place to bolt that in, but driving this car, we don't listen to the radio anyway. It's so loud you can't hardly hear it anyhow. Not with the wind bun running straight headers. So yeah, clean up the wiring. Then we're going to cut these floor pans out and start welding those in, more likely.
Also want to make the dome lights work correctly.
We're going to make the dome lights work with the doors and stuff. And yeah, but we got to get all this fuzzy stuff out. And we're going to clean that up real good with a wire brush. And we're going to paint it with some of that undercoating paint, that thick rust prevention paint. I mean, the car's solid except for those floorboards right there where your feet go on both sides are pretty rough. And unfortunately, like I said before, the floor pans, the replacement floor pans he got, they don't cover it all on the driver's side. So we're going to have to find a piece of sheet metal and fill that in. But yeah, we probably took 100 pounds out from under the dash already, with the dash pad, the carpet pad, the ducting, and all that. Trying to
put the roll cage.
Trying to make up for the weight of the roll cage. Because this car, it's 3,200 before we started. I think it's what, 3,170? I don't know. I weighed it. It's in one of my videos, the exact weight. I took it to the dump and weighed it, and Chris is a little over 200 pounds. I'm a little over 300 pounds when we race it. So the race weight's usually 3,400, 3,500, depending on who's in it. But yeah, we're getting it done. All right, I changed the oil in the motor. It's all set to start. It's always good to change the oil, especially since this thing's been sitting forever just outside with the intake off. I put some coolant in it. I didn't fill it up. It's like 15 degrees outside. And that heater, like I said, it works wonders. I mean, it's still cold in here. You can see your breath, but I mean, it ain't so cold that you can't feel your fingers and your toes. You can't feel your toes? You're over there away from the heat. And then Chris is cutting out the floor pans. That's the floor pan that goes in it. So we're working on that. And that's all the wiring that we're going to take out of it. And then we're going to pretty that up. Now some of this is for the ignition box that goes into the glove box. We're going to shorten that up considerably. But yeah, we can plug the ignition box back up and ground it, and the car should start right up. I think I got the timing pretty close. But yeah, we're going to get the floor pans. I'm going to check to see
Trying to figure out where that main hoop goes.
where the main hoop
That's
goes.
like the main thing.
Yeah.
Get the main hoop figured out.
I don't know if it... See, that's not smoke. That's steam from my mouth. Yeah. We don't even know what we're doing. I'm assuming that main hoop goes on that main bar across through there. There's going to be a guy coming over tomorrow that's supposed to know about this stuff. He's going to help us out. And we're going to put a drive shaft loop in it too. That's going to go on it. Chris hard at it. We scraped all that. On mine, the deadener for the carpet, it wasn't stuck to the bottom of the car. His was like glued to the bottom of the car. We had to scrape it all out. But I mean, this is what we've got out of the car so far. It's in that box. We're going to weigh it when we're done, but there's all that deadening material too underneath there. That's the other floor pan. And then all this stuff's got to go on. He's got a new sender for the gas tank. And we're going to run AN lines all the way up to this fuel pump and this regulator. And we're still going to use that fuel pump and regulator for the motor. And then he's got a 1 gallon standalone we're going to put behind that catch can. It's going to go right behind it. We might put a little hole in the top there so we can fill it up. And that'll go to the nitrous. And it's got an electric pump for it. But yeah, we thought about fitting it right in here somewhere. I don't know if it'll fit there, but... Or maybe down in here somewhere. I mean, we could even put it right here. But yeah. Standalone electric pump with a regulator for the nitrous. This new sending unit with all new fuel lines. The AN lines for the motor. We're not going to fool with that right now because we're going to start the car probably tomorrow just to hear it run. It ain't ran in, I don't know, since I started the cam swap on it. A month or two. The intake's all ported. Nitrous cam intake's all ported, standalone, with its own regulator and fuel pump. All new fuel lines, new fuel sending unit, new floor pans, and a roll cage. And took all the ducting out for the HVAC. Cleaned up the wires some. We still got to clean the wires up and zip tie them up out of the way, but we got them blue tags on them marked where they go. But yeah, we've been working on it for 2 days here and there, but we're getting it done. Alright, Chris finally got the floor pan cut out of there. He just laid it on top of there and took some and just, we cut it a lot shorter than what it should have been. And so we'll probably have to make it bigger. We had to run all the way to Walmart, which is like a 45-minute round trip because my drill bits suck. And you have to drill those holes out. They're like little rivet things or spot welds. You gotta drill all those out, and I didn't have a drill bit to go through it. I found some Walmart drill bits, titanium, wood metal. I don't know, I've got a DeWalt drill bits, but they don't work for nothing, man. For nothing. I spent an hour cutting through a brake pedal, put manual brakes in my car, and then it took me 30 minutes just to drill through a transmission linkage bracket. So finally I got some drill bits that I actually drill something, but you have to cut it out. I'd advise cut it short the first time, and once you get it cut out, then put it down in there and make your final cuts. But
Yeah, you gotta clean up this.
I'll drill those
It's
out.
probably gonna have to come back.
Yeah, I'd take the grinding wheel to that.
It's probably like an inch too far.
Will that ledge go down in between that?
Yeah, I just gotta grind this a little more. This frame doesn't come all the way up to this. It stops just for that ledge.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this thing's got a ledge on it where it goes up against the side of the car. And then that goes on the tunnel. And I guess you gotta drill your holes for your seats. Because what is that? That's just to hold the seat up, right? What is that? That big bolt don't go in nothing, does it?
Oh, this is a frame mount.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
But it does get into the seat bolts, like that rusty hole right there. Put your finger on it, Chris.
Right there.
That one and that one. Those are threaded bolt holes for your seat.
I was
So
hoping we could mark it from the back, but it's closed off.
we gotta mark those. Well, I mean, the one that we pulled out of it, the holes are a lot bigger than the bolt holes. Yeah, see.
Yep.
But unfortunately, that floor pan ain't going to cover all that's broke. But hopefully, we can take some sheet metal off that other floor pan and fix what it don't reach. Because I don't even know what you'd call that to order that piece, or we just order that piece and weld it in. Now on this side, there's just a little there and a little right there, so it'll cover all that. This side will. But yeah, getting there slowly but surely. We watched some videos. We're not 100% sure, but
We gotta go look at those plates too. See if
we think the main board goes down in here somewhere. But apparently the plates are supposed to be made to fit in these areas. So I'm gonna go look at those.
you're gonna have to bend it.
Well, the plates are flat pieces of metal. We don't know what we're doing. Hopefully the guys that come over tomorrow, hopefully they've done this before and they can help us, but I don't know. I don't know where it would go. Maybe those have to be bent. I don't know how you bend them. They're heavy. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So we use this undercoating stuff because these panels didn't come out painted, but it takes forever for that stuff to dry, and it's supposed to be 70 degrees outside, and then condensation from the roof. So we're gonna have to do that some other time. And then it got down to 7 degrees last night, and even though I turned the water off, the water main still pushes a little water through anyway. I busted another pipe. So hopefully the son-in-law will work on that, and we're going to work on this because Chris is only here until tomorrow. And we're going to go ahead and put the main loop in. We're just welding the plate in. We got some people helping us with the cage here. People a lot better at this than we are. Yeah, we put the seat in. We had to ratchet strap the main hoop there to get it to fit right.
Yeah, this one sets a lot straighter. You want me to warm this up some?
Chris sat in the seat with his helmet on just to see where it was at in relation to that. We got an angle finder over
I
there.
think it's because
Chris welded the
I think the
plates
metal's
in.
so cold too.
We're just tacking it in.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's on the weekend to come down, but it's like not
Kidding
an
me,
option,
man.
you know?
Yeah.
I prefer not to work in this weather.
Oh yeah, it was cold. We messed with it half a day Thursday, and then all day yesterday, pretty much. And then today we come out. I don't know what 10:30. But yeah, hopefully we'll get it slowly but surely. Okay, so this is the size of the tubing for the roll cage, and we got 100% argon. And apparently it's supposed to be 75-25. So it's not penetrating that big tubing. So, but we got it in there and tacked in anyway. It looks good. It clears the T-tops. It clears everything, and it's low enough that the main hoop's going to go in. But yeah, we're going to get it. We had to switch the battery out. His battery just, the ignition box kept blinking twice, which means low voltage. So I put my battery in it, but my battery's been sitting on the bench for, I don't know, ever since I started the transmission build 6-7 months ago. No, it wasn't that long ago, but it's dead too because it's cold. Batteries don't like to get cold. So we're charging my battery up now. Probably go eat and come out here and see if we can't hear the nitrous cam thump a little. Them guys come over and helped us, and they're a lot of help, man. They were going to help us get that roll cage in, but we got the wrong gas, so we're going to get the right gas. Chris is going back home tomorrow, so they're going to come over next weekend, and we're going to try to finish it up. But got to get some paint that'll actually stick to them floor pans, or take those inside.
I'm gonna wipe it off. It's not gonna stick.
Wipe it off, just get a different kind of paint.
You gotta do something different.
Yeah, maybe it's got to have a coat of primer on it or something. I don't know. We'll read the directions a little bit better. We're not painters. We're not body shoppers. Not welders. We can build motors and transmissions, but other stuff we don't know how to do. But we're learning as we go. It's the journey. It's the fun part, but it can be the headache part too. But yeah, that's where we're at now. Hopefully we can get a startup video here in a little bit. All right, so we tried to start this thing. It wouldn't start forever, and the ignition box kept saying low voltage. So apparently the way we got wired everything in,
There's this little bitty ground wire. It looks like nothing. It goes into the factory harness that matters, I guess. As soon as we grounded that, car started right up.
started right up. And we usually time this thing at 34 degrees, and it was at 32. That's how close I had it. But it's cold, so it don't want to run. We've hit it a couple of licks, enough for me to check the timing, but yeah. The timing's dead on, man. It's just cold. Some oil on the headers.
I tried to let it idle.
Yeah. Open the doors up so we don't die. Oh, I don't know, my door open. This sounds cleaner, I think. Cold model right at 1 grand. Nice copy.
That will kill you.
Yeah, we ain't got no water in it, guys, so we're not gonna run it long. We still gotta put water. Plus, we're in here. But yeah, it runs good.
Sounds wicked.
This sounds better than it did before. And it sounded good before.
Dyno shot. The dyno tune.
There we go.
350 shot. This roll cage is gonna be used.
Yep.
I'm just kidding. Hopefully not.
There you go, guys. That's the nitrous cam ported intake. And we didn't try the rev up thing to see if it fixed that. I'm pretty sure it did because that intake was leaking. But
it takes so long to warm up. I don't want to do that without water in it.
yeah, we got to put some water in it. It's we just wanted to hear it run.
Anyways,
I'm gonna turn the distributor. It was 1 degree off. It was at like 33. So I'm gonna turn it a little bit more counterclockwise to put some timing back in it. But yeah, I mean, I had the timing pretty much dead on the way that method that I did. So, you know, exhaust open closes, intake open closes. That puts the piston down at the bottom, pretty much.
can't believe.
And that means it's coming up on a compression stroke. So you just turn the motor around until you're at a top dead center, and that's your. That's
Can't
your.
believe it's 27 degrees and it started that easy.
Yeah. But yeah, we didn't get near as much done as I hoped we would get done. Chris told me, he said we're not going to get that much done. But he was right. But yeah, we're going to do some more videos of the roll cage and stuff like that. We'll go ahead and post this one, and then we'll make a dedicated one
We also
of finishing the roll cage.
Change the paint on the floorboard.
Yeah.
I might weld in this floorboard tonight.
Yeah, we went and got different paint for the floorboard because that Rust-Oleum undercoating, it wouldn't dry. And I mean, paint's not expected to dry and it's cold outside, but this paint here said 30-minute dry time, so we painted it with that, and we're going to see if it'll dry. We still can. We can take them inside and set them up.
And then once
I
they
don't know.
finish, we'll bring one out.
But there you go, guys. It runs. It sounds good. Y'all have a good day.